Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all doing well, and today, my friends, we're back with this Skaven vs. Dinosaur showdown. It's going to be Throt the Unclean facing off against Gorok Johnson. Should be quite a bit of fun. I always feel like Gorok belongs in that 1990s. You remember that really disturbing 90s show? I think it was actually just called Dinosaurs, where it had like the whole dinosaur family. I think it was like a sitcom, but he looks like he belongs in that show for sure. Now, as far as my army goes, all jokes aside, we're going to be trying some very off-meta stuff. Now, this might seem like a bit of a meme build with Stormvermin as well as Catapults in the backfield, but I feel like it has some applications. And again, that's a really good way to kind of discover new tactics and strategies, is to try things you don't normally try. The very meta way to play is obviously using Skaven slaves, cheap infantry, throwing them forward using the poison wind mortars, but Skaven slaves and mortars have been recently nerfed. They're both still good, but I feel like there are also a lot of different ways to play Skaven. Now, on a big map like this, I do think the Plagueclaw Catapults might be okay. They do have 400 range, obviously, so I can get a ton of bombardment ahead of time, whereas the mortars are going to take a little bit more. The lizards can get closer to you with the 250 range on the mortars, whereas these guys, of course, can hopefully nuke a couple infantry units before they get close. So we got two Plagueclaw Catapults. Our entire front line is going to be Stormvermin. So I was kind of thinking about it here. Stormvermin a little bit weak against the typical, dinosaurs, right? So Stegodons, Bastillodons, whatever. They're going to have a terrible time. They're not immune to psychology. They're armored. They're infantry size, very weak against such targets. But, a lot of Lizard players these days don't really invest in big dinos because of the prevalence of Jezzails and Skaven's ability to really snipe big monsters here. So that's why I'm giving these Stormvermin a try. They trade well with basic Saurus. They trade well with all the skink variants. So they're also quite durable against chameleons. The one thing that might be a little bit tricky is the fact that my opponent does have a bunch of red-crested skinks, but I think I can focus them down with the artillery, and we should be okay there. So, double Rattling Gunner in the back as well. Teethbreaker is going to be one of them, and the Rattling Gunners actually do okay against like Pterodons, and most Lizardmen players will have like a Pterodon Air Force getting in there, flying over your army, and really giving you a lot of trouble. So I was like, let's try the Teethbreakers. They can defend themselves a little bit better than Jezzails can against flyers because they can turn, shoot, they have suppression, and Jezzails, in my experience, really do get wrecked by the Pterodons, and so too can Rattling Gunners for sure, but they pack some punch. Aside from that, it's just going to be clan rats for the most part, with a couple Skaven slaves on the flanks, including the slingers, Throt the Unclean, as well as the plague priest. Now, for my opponent's army, he's got a huge battle line of the red-crested skinks, backed up by, I think, the maximum amount of chameleon skinks. Cohorts in the back, Feral Bastillodon, it looks like 2 in total. Feral Bastillodon's pretty good against Skaven. They're cheap. They can actually do a lot of damage against Skaven Footlords, and even if I focus them, they're only 650 gold. Gorok Johnson's going to be running in the bushes with the Saurus Spears, getting ready to do a big kind of circuitous flank here, which is, staying out of line of sight of my artillery, because I would have very happily shot at the Saurus units. But initially, we're going to be using the Catapults to go after the red-crested skinks, and if you guys are new to the game, running interference while your artillery shoots is very good. So here we use Clan Rat Summon. We're just going to move it into the red-crested skinks, continue to bombard, and so far the Catapults are doing pretty good. You can see here they've saturated into the red-crested skinks. Throt the Unclean, a little bit greedy here. This was probably a mistake going in, but I just wanted to try and, push them back real quick, buy some time from our artillery to keep shooting. We do get the terror out. So in the end, not a terrible trade. The skinks, of course, do get some nice saturated fire, and the other lizard infantry are going to be moving in. Now, we do have Globadiers as well in the middle. Globadiers a little bit risky, of course, with the Stormvermin because they do friendly fire damage, so might be something I want to cut from this build, just kind of experimenting with some new stuff here. But nonetheless, the Stormvermin are going to move in, so we break the charge of the infantry using our single entity and Throt, and then the Stormvermin are going to get the efficient charge, and they should be able to just absolutely take these skinks down. You can see the terror route goes down instantly, so a little combination play right there does give our Stormvermin a huge leg up. So far, we're really buckling the front line. Slinger's thrown in, obviously peppering down a couple of the red-crested skinks, and the Stormvermin as well as the Clan Rat Summons are still holding the line. Now, Manscore Summon is going to be coming out from my opponent here. Manscore Summon, I would imagine, will be going after the Rattling Gunners. You'll notice I put the Rattling Gunners very far back, so I could really, if he comes out of the trees here or something, I would have plenty of time to Last Samurai him, but so far they haven't been able to get too many good targets, but now they're going to be switching onto the Bastillodon, and that should be A-okay. So Stormvermin really trading super efficiently here. Obviously, I did get the terror route and the bombardments from the Catapults, which I've now switched onto the Cohorts, which are more tightly packed. And the Rattling Gunner is going to be Last Samuraiing that Feral Manscore, but, it's not going to be enough. The Manscore will get in there and probably shut them down. On this flank, we do have a skink cohort moving in. Rattling Gunners potentially going to be compromised here, but we are just unleashing our full salvo of fire from the Rattling Gunners on top of the Feral Bastillodon and adding quite a bit of damage in there. It's down to about 2,800. The Clan Rats with Spears do move out. Clan Rat Spears actually trade pretty effectively with these skink cohorts. Their melee defense is really, really good, so they can hold, especially if they do have the shield. So that one Feral Bastillodon does get Last Samurai here, and so far we're holding the front line relatively well. Here the Stormvermin are obviously battling chameleon skinks who are trying to overextend to get Throt. A little bit of a mistake there. And the Globadier fire is bombarding these skink cohorts to the point where those bad boys are going to be breaking. In the backfield, the Feral Manticore, of course, does an excellent job of shutting down Rattling Gunners, and I will be losing probably 3 or 4 more models, I would wager. But it's okay. You know, the Rattling Gunners will come back, the Manticore will disappear, and we'll still have that efficiency as we do kind of progress towards the later stages of the game. So Throt the Unclean moving in, going to butter up that Skink Priest of Heavens. We get a little bit of damage there. Throt, of course, I still think is a very good Skaven Lord, highly mobile, and yeah, he's able to get some really good damage. Normally he struggles to hit foot characters, but today he hasn't been messing around. So a little bit of a mistake there. I let Gorok get in there, and Gorok pops all of his buffs. The Mace of Ulamak and a couple other things there, and the Rakavitsa dropping the Lizard's Elbow here. But Throt the Unclean is able to get away and evade Gorok. And for now, our backline's still secure. Rattling Gunners are just mowing down anything that tries to approach here. The Sara Spears appear to be accidentally overchasing the Skaven Slaves, but it doesn't matter too much. The Rattling Gunners will suppress them and keep them in check. Here are the Clan Rats holding back the Skink cohorts, and I think having the shields on them is good against Chameleons, just in case you get forced into that late game situation. And to the front, you can see the Poisonwing Globes preparing to unleash some hellish salvos of fire, while Throt the Unclean bounces around the battlefield going after the weak casters. But now Dwayne Gorok Johnson is making his way to the back line, but I think that the Lizard army is pretty damn beat up here. The Catapults have been able to shoot almost all their ammo, and though there's not like crazy good like elite infantry targets for them, the discouraging effect is quite good at routing off all of these like cheaper Lizardmen troops that obviously don't have the best leadership. So Chameleon Skinks moving in. Going to be trying to shut down the Globes, but the Globes do turn and return fire before the Skinks are able to get on top of them. And Throt the Unclean does use his Rat Ogre summon because my Plague Priest was getting bullied pretty bad by this Bastillodon here, so that's the time you want to use the Rat Ogre summon, get a nice armor-piercing punch in there, and from there the Feral Bastillodon should be breaking and shaking and running for the hills. Looks like it is shattered and down for the count. So Rattling Gunners able to mow down those Chameleon Skinks. That's one way to deal with them. Volume of fire, man. So we have the Catapult shooting at them. We have the Rattling Gunner shooting at them. And here you can see that the Chameleon Skinks are that's pretty rough. Yeah, they're 40% missile resist. Not going to save them from that volume of fire coming in from the Rattling Gunners. Just imagine if you could actually get the campaign trait. You know how in campaign with Clan Scryer, you could basically get infinite ammo with Rattling Gunners. It's so damn cool. I think Clan Scryer is probably one of my favorite campaigns of the game. It's so damn fun. Anyways, Throt the Unclean with the Creature Killer. Going to be cycle charging into Gorok. I don't really have anything great for Gorok, so what we're going to be trying to do is giving him the Sigvald treatment, where basically what you do is you just leave him as the last tool. You take out everything else, and you know, you just come and finish him off last, and potentially army losses just kills him, and you don't even have to fight him. It's definitely a good way of dealing with Footlords, but Gorok's still getting dangerously close to my artillery. Not that it matters, though. I think I have enough bodies here. We have 120 Clan Rats. We have more Clan Rats here. Looks like there are going to be some Sara Spears moving back into the battle lines, but the Catapults are doing a pretty good job making sure things don't come back here. And Throt the Unclean, going to be, normally you wouldn't want to fight a Summon Manticore with Throt, but in this case I think saving the Rattling Gunners just in case I need them to mow down Gorok in the later stages of the game is going to be pretty important here. So Stormvermin, yeah, doing great. I mean, I think we got 69, hell yeah, man. That's what she said, 108 right here. And then as far as the other Stormvermin goes, I think the entire Stormvermin core did very, very well this game. And we've been seeing that a little bit in like some of my ECLs and other formats for Skaven. I think they're making a comeback. Don't call it a comeback. Apparently they've been here for years, but yeah, it's a pretty good song. Good old LL Cool J. So right here, Throt the Unclean still battling Gorok. Gorok will obviously beat the brakes off Throt in a straight up duel, so you need to take advantage of your speed, your mobility. And now the Globes are going to be coming in to help finish off the Saras here, who are being held at bay by the Clan Rats. Yeah, and I feel like Clan Rats are really overshadowed for a long time too by the obviously Skaven Slaves being so cost effective. And Skaven Slaves work really well with mortar play. You can see, of course, the Clan Scryer artillery teams here trying to blast their Clan Wars friends here. Globadier Fire coming in, that should help to break the Saras. But again, I feel like Skaven Slaves being very, very low price before and mortars being obscenely powerful, you know, you didn't see as many good quality infantry with Skaven, because if you brought Stormvermin with, you know, mortar heavy armies, what would happen is that your Stormvermin would just get destroyed by the friendly fire. Whereas with Skaven Slaves, you don't care, right? You have a 125 gold unit just getting absolutely annihilated, but at the same time, you're killing something that's worth like 800 gold. So it was like a huge upward trade, right? But yeah, really interested to kind of explore different styles of Skaven play. Here, Throt the Unclean battling Gorok, that is more or less going to be it, as the last of the Lizard army will break. GG, well played to my opponent. We had a couple great games on ladder between Total User and I, so you'll be seeing those coming up soon. But yeah, this was a fun one. Rattling Gunners, you know, one of them did pretty good, 1,500, and the other one got shut down by the Manticore Summon. It happens. Catapults, 800 and 900, which I think almost pays for them. I think they're 1,000, but, you know, they did good. They have that discouraging effect, so you can't just, like, look at units by their, you know, value accrued, because they serve different purposes. Breaking leadership is huge for, you know, the state of battle and all the things like that. So, yeah, Stormvermin held. Most of them were pretty healthy except one in the late game. Most people don't expect them to. And, of course, these Skaven Slave Slingers, you know, almost, they did good. Look at those little guys. Globadiers, of course, always doing quite nice. And, yeah, I think this army is fine. I think Manticore Summon, the Bastillodons, I think the one thing it's missing, is probably, I don't think you need the Sara Spears, to be honest, against the Skaven. Because, yeah, they're good against Hell Pits and different things like that. But really, you can kill Hell Pits with your... Any Skaven monster will die horribly to Chameleon Skinks, like horribly. So I think you cut these guys. You cut the 2 Sara Spears. You get 1,600 gold. Maybe cut, like, 2 of the red-crested skinks, and then just mix in an Air Force. You need 3 Pterodons, because Pterodon riders can fly over. They can drop rocks on my artillery. That pretty much destroys them. They can chase the crews off. They can dive on my various other missile pieces. I think that really, from a Skaven perspective, is probably one of the most stressful things about this matchup is facing off against Pterodons. And if he had Pterodons, could have been a completely different game. The very wide builds aren't bad against Skaven. I don't think his build's bad by any stretch of the imagination. I think he potentially could have won it with some different plays. But in general, yeah, I really do think that having Pterodon riders is just so essential, because they just sit on top of the artillery. They bombard them. They dart them down, and Skaven artillery crews like run super quick. That's partially why I brought Rattling Gunners, to try and like mow them down. But yeah, in the end, it was still a fun match. So hopefully you guys enjoyed seeing some off-meta units, and we will see you guys next time. Take care.